Text 43. Yo dushyajam darasutam Shobhit rajam hridishkushah Javo yuyaiva malavat Uttama shloka lalasah. Yeah. The same Bharata Mahārāja who was formerly Maharaj Bharat, the son of Maharaj Rishabdev, Dushyajam, very difficult to give up. Tarasutam, the wife and children, or the most opulent family life. Suhrit, friends and well-wishers. Rajam, a kingdom that extended all over the world. Hridishkushah, that which is situated within the core of one's heart. Jaho, he gave up. Yuva eva, even as a young man. Malavat, like stool. Uttama shloka lalasah, who was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Uttama Shloka. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. While in the prime of life, the great Maharaj Bharat gave up everything because he was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharat was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of His Majesty. Please repeat. While in the prime of life, the great Maharaj Bharat gave up everything because he was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharat was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of His Majesty. The name of God is Krishna because He is so attractive that for His sake, the pure devotee can give up anything within this material world. Even if very, very dear, Maharaj Bharat was an ideal king, instructor, and emperor of the world. He possessed all opulences of the material world, but Krishna is so attractive that he attracted Maharaj Bharata from all his material possessions. Yet somehow or other, the king became affectionate to a little deer, and falling from his position, had to accept the body of a deer in his next life. Due to Krishna's great mercy upon him, he could not forget his position, and he could understand how he had fallen. Therefore, in the next life, as Jara Bharata, Maharaj Bharata was careful not to spoil his energy, and therefore he presented himself as a deaf and dumb person. In this way, he could concentrate on his devotional service. We have to learn from the great king Bharata how to become cautious in cultivating Krishna consciousness. A little inattention will retard our devotional service for the time being. Yet any service rendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never lost. Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate bhado bhaya. Bhagavad Gita 2.40. A little devotional service rendered sincerely is a permanent asset, as it's stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tyakva Swadharmam Charanam Bhujam Hare Bhajan Apavako Tatpate Tato Yati Yatra Kva Shabhatram Abuta Amusyakim Ko Bharata Apto Bhajatam Swadharmataha. Somehow or other, one is attracted to Krishna Whatever he does in devotional service is permanent asset. Even if one falls down due to immaturity or bad association, his devotional assets are never lost. There are many examples like of this. Jai Shri Shri Radha, Ajamila, Maharaj Bharata, and many others. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving everyone a chance to engage in devotional service for at least some time. A little service will give one an impetus to advance and thus make one life successful. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-dhyana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam-yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishram Savikam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa-Ramayam Dadati Swavanikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta-Padamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Nirupam Sarvadam Sarvadam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Sarvadam Parijan Sahitam Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Bala Sarvadam Shri Shadhanam He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Mudam Jagat Pradaya Gopesha Gopika Kanta Akanta Namaste Taptagan Sarvadam Shri Shadhanam Shri Devi Ramani Priye Mancha Kalpata Vidasya Vipasindhu Devacha Paritanam Bhagnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Jayamate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you for attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So now we are discussing Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 43, the instructions of Jala Bharata, analyzed and explained by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Because in the previous chapter, he was talking about the forests of material life and how much suffering the living entity goes through. And he was giving many allegorical examples. And these examples are now analyzed by Sukadeva Goswami. And now we are going towards the end of the chapter where he is explaining the glories of Maharaj Bharata, who was the past incarnation of Jala Bharata. So in this verse, we read the translation again. While in the prime of life, the great Maharaj Bharata gave up everything because he was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality Godhead, Uttaman's Loka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharata was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of his majesty. So in this verse, we can see the greatness of Maharaj Bharata's renunciation. This is how the Raja Rishis used to live. In those days, the Raja Rishis, they were doing their duty as king, simply just to rule the kingdom and guide the population towards the ultimate goal of life, which is Krishna consciousness. That is the ideal example of a king. And it's how Lord Ramachandra was, that's how Maharaj Ambarish was, so many kings. Maharaj Bharat, he was so great that even Bharata Varsha was named after him. So they were not, even we can see Maharaj Priyavrata, he refused to become a king. You can see when Maharaj Priyavrata's brother, what is his name? Uttanapad, right? Son of Uttanapad. So after Dhruva Maharaj Charitra, we see Maharaj Priyavrata. He refused to become a king. And Brahma had to come and promise him that, don't worry, you can be a king and you will be renounced at the same time. You're not going to be attached to the kingdom. After getting that kind of assurance from Brahma, then he decided that he will rule the kingdom. I think it's is it 5:13? 5. This is sloka. So anyway, what is the verse? So now coming back to the point, here we also see the example of Maharaj Bharat. Even we can see the example of Maharaj Parikshit. You can see this verse in the Bhagavad 2:4-2. How do I shortcut to the next one? F5. F1. Atma-jaya Sutagraha Asudravina Bandhusu Rajye Shavikale Nityam Viruddham Mamadam Jao. So these 8 things. So Maharaj Parikshit, as a result of wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children. So, Suta, right? His palace, his animals and elephants, his treasury house, his friends, his relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. So many people think that this is something very great. Of course, it's very great. It's not easy to give up. But the reason is, you can see from this verse and the previous verse from Maharaj Bharat, they had wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna. It was written in the purport earlier, Maharaj Bharat was so much attracted to Lord Krishna. And in fact, the word Krishna also means the all attractive. Kishir Bhuvachaka Sabda, Nashta Nivritti Vachaka. Tayor Aikyam Param Brahma Krishna iti abhidiyate. This verse from Mahabharata is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I don't know which verse is it. So Kishir Bhuvachaka Shabda, the word Kri, Kishir Bhuvachaka means all attraction. Krish, the word Krish means all attraction. And Na means Ananda. So he who can give you complete Ananda, that is Krishna. And how does he? And by being attracted to him, you get so much of happiness. You get so Param Dristva Nivartate. It says in the Bhagavad Gita. Raso Ishaya Vidivartante Nirharasya Dehinaha Raso Varjam Vatsopyasya Param Dristva Nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Because of this higher taste coming from the attraction of Krishna. Right now in the material world, we are getting attraction to all the things which are related to our material senses. Right? Our eyes want to see something beautiful, our ears want to hear something nice songs, nice music. We want to taste palatable dishes. So all this, our senses are running after all this attraction. But Krishna is the sum total, is the complete experience of all bliss and attraction. So these kings, what they are exemplifying in their lives is that even though they were doing their duty as a king, they showed that you have to eventually come to the point of Krishna Prem. Right? Now, the same thing Arjuna was trying to do in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, correct? He was trying to renounce. But Krishna rejected that renunciation. Why? Because that renunciation is not after the absolute truth Krishna. That renunciation is out of attachment to his relatives. So if you think about it, Arjuna is saying, I will be non-violent, I will not fight. Right? But that is non-violence is born out of attachment, material attachment to his relatives. So he cannot be non-violent. He will be violent if the attachment is pushed to the limit. You understand? His being non-violence, his behavior of non-violence is very relative. It's not absolute renunciation. He's renouncing the tendency to be violent because of favoring these relatives. If someone comes to disturb these relatives, he will be violent. You understand? So it's basically karma only. Because karma isha, krodha isha. From karma, bonds takes birth, anger. So Arjuna, even though he's not angry now, he will show anger. Right? He definitely will show anger to people who will asking to cause violence to his relatives. So that's why he was showing, of course, he was compassion, but he was hesitating against Krishna's request. How can I kill my grandfather? And let's say if Arjuna renounces and goes to the forest and sit down, do you think he'll be non-violent? He will cause violence because their nature. He is not renounced in the terms of Krishna consciousness. He is renounced in the terms of his sense gratification. And if your sense gratification is being checked, then you will become violent. So eventually Arjuna will show violence in the forest because that is not real renunciation. So the goal of life is not vairagya. Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. So vairagya has to lead towards bhakti. What is the use of vairagya vidya? Madhya. 6.254. वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योग शिक्षा तमेक पुरुष पुराण श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीरधारी कृपाम्बुदेर्यस्तम अहम प्रपद्ये. Let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us real knowledge. This is the Vidya. His devotional service and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because he is an ocean of transcendental mercy. Let me surrender to his lotus feet. So this is the real detachment. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us. Devotional service to Krishna and detachment from whatever that does not foster Krishna consciousness. This is real detachment. Just detaching from sense objects. You can detach for time being. Then again you will come to the attachment. Because this is the situation of the material world. Bhoga, Tyaga. Sometimes you are frustrated with material enjoyment. We said everything is frustrating. Let me leave this. Everything become one with Brahman. Material existence. Sometimes devotees are also like that. You see, they say, Prabhu, the suffering in the world is so much. I think I just want to go back to God here. I just want to get out of here. Right? So of course, you may think that going back to Godhead is the real goal. Actually, no. Even going back to Godhead is not the real goal of life. So how many of us want to go back to Godhead? Going back to Godhead is not the goal actually. Getting love for Krishna is the real goal. So actually, before we discuss that point, we have to let's come back to Bharata Mahārāja. So he renounced everything now, went to the forest. Why? Because his aim was to go back to Godhead. I mean, not go back to Godhead, but to actually develop the highest goal of life, which is Krishna Prem. So, if we go to this verse, Krishna, Visayaka Prema Parama Purushartha Yara Ketrana Tulya Chari Purushartha. So there are 4 kinds of goal in life: religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, liberation. These are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are known as the 4 goals of life. But before love of Godhead, the 5th and the highest goal, this appears insignificant as straw in the street. So everybody is pursuing these 4 goals. And you must understand, these 4 goals are not against this has to be performed in relation to scriptures, right? So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. This is what we are rotating every life on. Why we do dharma? Because actually dharma creates pious activities, punya, for you to enjoy. So people want to engage in dharma. In order to engage in dharma, one has to use artha, money. So the purpose of wealth is actually to help us pursue dharma. See, you go to this verse, 11:5-12. Danam chadharmika phalam yato vai jnanam savijnanam anuprasyanti grihesu yunjati kalevarasya vrityum na pasyati duranta viryam. The only proper fruit of acquired wealth is religiosity, on the basis which one can acquire a philosophical understanding of life, that which eventually matures into direct perception of the absolute truth, and thus liberation from all sufferings. Materialistic persons, however, utilize their wealth simply for the advancement of their family situation. They fail to see that insurmountable death will soon destroy the frail material body. So, artha is important because it helps you to pursue dharma. And that is not the goal of life also. Not just do dharma, keep doing charity, pious activity. You'll just go and have an enjoyment in heaven and come back. So it must mature. You see, the basis of which one can acquire philosophical understanding of life, that which eventually matures into direct perception of the absolute truth, and thus liberation. So the ultimate goal is not dharma or artha. There's a purpose. When you call, there's a purpose, absolute purpose, and there's a temporary purpose. Right? Now, when we grow up, our parents put us into school. Is going to school the purpose of life? No. Why? Of course, not purpose of life. You can see that this purpose leads to another purpose, which is getting a job. So if something leads to something, that is not the ultimate. So going to school is not the purpose. Getting a job is also not the purpose. Because getting a job leads to what? Money. Is earning money the purpose of life? No, what you can do with all the money sitting in the bank? You need to spend. So you want to use that money to buy what? Happiness. So if you analyze carefully, happiness is actually the goal of life. But we think that happiness comes from these material objects. That's why we are doing dharma, artha, kama. We are rotating in this dharma, artha, kama. Everything we do is, and we are following the scriptures for this purpose only. There's a huge section in the Vedas called the Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda sections of Vedas teaches us how you sacrifice, you do this yajna, you worship this devata, you will get this benefit. But is that going to lead you to the true happiness of life? No. The true happiness of life, you must understand, is Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. I have to become an eternal servant of Krishna and have Anya Vilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. I should Anukulena Krishna Silanam Bhakti Uttamam. I should engage in bhakti with Krishna, which is Anya Abhilashita Sunyam. We should not be contaminated by Jnana or Karma. So now I'm doing all these transactions. It's all transactional to achieve a purpose called happiness, but it will not satisfy me completely because it's Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. It's filled with Jnana and Karma. Understand? So when we do this dharma, artha, kama, and even if you follow the karma kanda sections of the Vedas, do this, get this, do this, get this, it is all transactional. Am I going to be happy with transactional? I will not be happy. Neither Krishna will be happy. Understand? Krishna can easily, in Bhagavad Gita, he says, if you see this verse in Gita, this is very transactional. Bhagavad Gita 3:11. Devan bhavayatanena tetheva bhavayatantav vaha parasparam bhavayatah shreyan param avapsyatah. The demigods being pleased by sacrifices will also please you, and thus by cooperation between man and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. So Krishna is saying, you do this yajna, please the Supreme Lord, and devatas will be pleased, they will provide you. But is this the goal of life? No. So dharma, artha, kama cannot lead to the goal of life, cannot give you happiness. So why am I bringing up this point is because we have to understand why he went to the forest. Why Mahārāja Bharata went to the forest. What was his goal? What was he pursuing actually? He was not pursuing dharma. He was not pursuing artha. Neither is he pursuing kama. All he has given up. Is he pursuing moksha? You see this verse. Tatrapi moksha evarte atyanti katayeshyate traivarkyo yato nityam kratanta bhaya samritaha. Out of four principles, namely religion, economic development, self-gratification, and liberation, liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subjects to destruction by the stringent laws of death. So among these three, the liberation is actually supposed to be taken seriously, moksha. But now the question is, was Bharata Mahārāja interested in getting moksha? What do you think? No? Yeah. So even moksha is not the goal. If you analyze the Bhagavad Gita, a lot of statements in Gita is promoting moksha actually. Even the last most important statement, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Krishna says, you do surrender, I will give moksha. So again, this relationship becomes like a transaction. Actually, is Krishna interested in this transaction? No. Krishna only wants you unconditionally. Of course, you have to surrender. But you should surrender with a desire to not want moksha also. If you see this sloka, Bharata Mahārāja is speaking about these pure devotees. Sorry, not Bharata Mahārāja. This is spoken by Indra in the chapter of Bharata Mahārāja. King Indra said, after the Narasimhadev, he came, O Supreme Lord, you are the deliverer and protector, our deliverer and protector. Our shares of sacrifice, which are actually yours, have been recovered by the demon, by you. Because the demonic king Hiranyakashipu was most fearsome, our hearts, which are your permanent abode, were all overtaken by him. Now, by your presence, the gloom of darkness in our hearts have been dissipated. O Lord, for those who always engage in your service, which is more exalted than liberation, all material appearance is insignificant. They do not care for liberation, not to speak of benefits of karma, artha, dharma. This is the goal of Bharata Mahārāja actually. He was not interested in dharma, artha, kama. Even moksha he was not interested. Because he was actually trying to go to the forest to develop he wanted to develop Sri Krishna thing. But what happened when he went there? Somehow he got distracted by the deer. He got distracted by his real goal of life. So the thing I'm saying is, Why he could give up all the wealth like a stool, his family, everything? Because that goal he's trying to achieve is unlimited, is priceless. You understand? The bhakti of Krishna, it cannot be, there's no price to that bhakti. Which is why Bharata Mahārāja also told Narasimhadev, don't treat me like a businessman. I'm not doing bhakti to get something benediction from you. This connection between you and me, you see what he says. Aham tu akamastvadakta bhakta svam cha swami anapshrayah nanyate tavayorarto raja sevakayor iva. He says, my Lord, I am your unmotivated servant and you are my eternal master. There is no need for our being anything other than master and servant. You are naturally my master. I am naturally your servant. We have no other relationship. This is the untransactional, unconditional relationship all of us have with Krishna. Unfortunately, now we are trapped in material world and Krishna has to entice us somehow. Okay, you do this, I'll give you this. He says, Yayatam mam prapadyante tam state bhajamyaham. Right? Did Krishna say that? As much as you surrender, I'll reward you. But Prahlad Maharaj said, I don't want any reward. You are my natural master. There's natural love between you and me. In fact, in the previous verse also, you can see 7:10:5. Asasano na vaidritya swamini asisa atmana na swami vrityata swamyam icchan yorati chasisaha. He says, a servant who desires material profits from his master is certainly not qualified servant or a pure devotee. Similarly, a master who bestows benedictions upon his servant because of a desire to maintain a prestigious position as a master is not a pure master. So this is our relationship with Krishna. Krishna, yeah, he can fulfill our desires. Now you follow bhakti nicely. Say, Krishna, I want to go back to Godhead. He can give you. He can give you a nice place in Vaikuntha, nice house, everything he can give. But that relationship is not unconditional. That is why they were surprised in the Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj was surprised how the Mother Yashoda, how she binded Krishna. That kind of devotee who asks for liberation from Krishna cannot bind Krishna. Krishna cannot be controlled by that kind of devotee. When your relationship with him is completely unconditional, untransactional, then he cannot do anything. But to become under your control. In fact, in the what is that verse he told the gopis, and I cannot repay. She's telling the gopis here. 10:22. Sorry. 10:22:32. Yes, I think 10:32. 32. You see this verse? Yeah. Na parayaham niravatya samyujam. So this is spoken. Krishna is saying, I'm not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deed be your compensation. Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, Yayatamam prapadyante, you surrender, I can reward you, I'll give you. Now I cannot even give you now. You have completely oversurpassed me by your bhakti. So this is the goal of Krishna Prem. In fact, there is a sloka in the Padyavali. I don't know if can you find Padyavali sloka or not? 385.
T space create.
Okay. I don't know what is the Kim Padante Ludasi Vimana Swamino hi Swatantraha Kinchit Kalam Kochit Abhiratas Tatra Kaste Pranadaha Agas Karim Aham Ihayaya Jeevitam Tvaviyogi Vritya Pranash Striya Iti Nanutvam Mavevanu Neyaha. So this is a verse from the Padhyavali. Jai Shri Ram. Rupa Goswami is quoting. It's by an anonymous author. So you can see this is spoken by Srimati Radharani. And what Radharani is saying, because when Krishna is meeting in Kurukshetra, right? Krishna is meeting the gopis, and he could not. He's speechless because he cannot repay their love. Understand? So he says, "Why you have fallen? Why have you fallen disconsolate at my feet?" So Krishna is crying to Radharani actually. Because Krishna, he feels the separation of Radharani. He cannot reciprocate. He was 11 years only, he was in Vrindavan. Then he left. Then he went to Mathura for 18 years. And then after that, he got married to Rukmini. And then he got 16,000, another 108 wives. But his relationship with Radharani, he could not. And Radharani did not forget Krishna. In that separation, she was doing so much of unconditional bhakti. Nobody can reach her level of bhakti. So now Krishna is crying and praying to her. He's trying to, you know what she says? She says, "Why have you fallen disconsolate at my feet? My husband is always independent. He may stay for some time and then he may also go away." So Krishna is a king, right? Krishna can stay for some time. King can have one wife here, one wife there. Arjuna had how many wives? 4 wives, right? And after that, he did not meet some of the wives also. Like Urupi, or he after marriage had a child, he left. So king is like that. So Radharani is saying, it's not your fault. It is Krishna's fault only. He left her. He left the Brajavasis in separation. If you think about it, it looks like his fault. But no, what Radharani says, what fault is there on your part? It is I who am the sinner, for I am remain alive, even when separated from you. The wife should always consider her husband to be her very life and soul. It is I who should apologize to you. He said I should have died, but my life is still in my body. That means I'm a sinner. Because if my separation is so bad, why am I alive? So when Krishna hears such statements, how to repay? And this is the highest level of bhakti. Radharani's bhakti, highest level. Cannot be matched. So that is why this is Krishna Prem actually. That means I love Krishna. Ask the last verse of Shastakam, we are chanting every day. This is the essence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's great teaching. Ramya Kachit Bratavado, Vajavado, Vargaina Ya Kalpita. He's teaching by the example of the gopis. Right? And he said, Asli Seva Padaratam Pinashtumam Adavishtanam Varmahatam Karotava. So Krishna, either you beat me or you embrace me, doesn't matter. I'm not interested in moksha. Salokya, Sarsti, Samipya, Swarupya, Ekatva. There are 5 kinds of liberation. Salokya, going to the planet of the Lord. Samipya, having the opulence of the Lord. Swarupya, having the same bodily features of the Lord. Samipya, being a personal associate of the Lord. Ekatva, becoming one with the Lord. We are not even interested in all these things. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying, only want to be your servant. Mama Janmani Janmanishware. Janmani Janmanishware means what? I don't want liberation also. Because when you have liberation, there is no next birth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I can take birth again and again. I can stay in this material world. It doesn't matter. I only want this unconditional love for you. So here we can see example of rather highest level of unconditional love. In fact, if you see the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in one of the section, Narada Muni is going. Of course, I did not read all the verses, but summary I just saw. Narada Muni wants to find out who is the pure devotee of the Lord. So first he went to Indra, and he said, Indra, you must be the great devotee of Krishna. Indra says, how can I be a great devotee? I'm always after the throne only. Anybody doing a Ashwamedha Yajna, I'm trying to stop them. In fact, I caused the biggest trouble to Vrindavan. I tried to kill them. Yeah. He said, greater than me, Brahma. So Narada Muni went Brahma. Brahma said, I'm not great also. Because I gave benediction to Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and the Lord has to come and take trouble to go and stop these guys. Also, I stole all the cowherd boys. So he said, higher than me, Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj went there. Prahlad Maharaj said, no, I'm not the greatest also. Because I think it's something like, he said something like, what did Prahlad Maharaj say? He said that the Lord did not really come just to save me. He has to also protect the demigods. He has to fulfill Brahma's words. So Lord came.
He did not offer for devotional service.
Yes. When Lord came, he did not offer a seat to sit down, right? Something like that.
Any opportunity for service, like Hanuman.
He did not do much service. He just glorified. Is there something like he did not offer the seat for me to sit down? The Lord had to make his own seat. He did not give color. The Lord had to take their own. That is a commentary. So he said, no, higher than me is Hanuman, who is doing so much of service. Even when this fire was burning his tail, he was doing service. Even in the difficult time also, he is doing service. And when Hanuman said, no, not me, because if really Ram loves you so much, why am I still sitting here in material world as Chiranjeevi? He said, higher than me. He will say Ugrasena. Then Ugrasena also rejected his position. He said, no, higher than me is Uddhava. And Uddhava said, I am so great, but I want to be a grass in Vrindavan. Because I want the Braja gopis and the cowherd boys to step on me. That is how great their bhakti is. I came to teach them jnana and vairagya, but they taught me higher knowledge. Then he went to so higher than that. Finally, what Sanatan Goswami is doing is he's finally establishing the highest of all highest, Srimati Radha.
He was a Pandava.
Sorry, I forgot Pandavas. I think Hanuman said Pandavas. Hanuman said Pandavas. So Pandavas, you know what they say? If you read our story, nobody want to be a devotee. Everybody will get scared of you. He said so much difficulty we went through. We don't want to. But actually, I found something in the Bhakti Sandarbha. Anucheda. I forgot what number I'll send you to. He's saying, Jiva Goswami is writing that Pandavas did not suffer. The exchange is actually an exchange of Bhakti Ras. So the Sandarbha is written like that. So also Lord Shiva was mentioned. Brahma actually mentioned Shiva first. Sorry, Shiva also there. Shiva also said, no, I'm not good. I'm not great because I am doing a disservice by teaching Mayavad philosophy. I also went and fought for Manasura. So how can I be great? Okay. So like that, so what Sanatana Goswami is doing is step by step showing the various level of bhakti, and the highest level, which is bhakti of Radharani is bhakti. He is glorifying Radharani's bhakti. That is the highest actually. This is the Krishna prem that we all should aspire for. Our prayer, of course, we cannot. In the beginning, if you read Prabhupada books, many times Prabhupada says, go back home, back to Godhead, let's go back to Godhead. In the beginning, we may think that is the goal. But actually, if you read deeply, if you go to Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will understand the goal is to develop unconditional love for Krishna. So, which is why we can see Srila Bhaktisarada Saraswati Thakur, you know what he said? So I was reading the book, Bhaktisarada Saraswati Thakur Bible. I will read one passage from that. He told something very interesting. This is recalled by Sridhar Swami. Sorry, Sridhar Maharaj. Sridhar Maharaj recalling this memory of Srila Bhaktisarada Saraswati Thakur. I will read this. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was thinking of opening a artistic exhibition in Kurukshetra. So basically what he's saying, we all went to Kurukshetra recently where we went Vrindavan. We think Vrindavan is the highest, right? You know what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says? Kurukshetra is higher than Vrindavan. Yeah, actually he quotes his father. He's quoting his father and also adding his realization. Is it shocking to hear that? This is I found it from there here. So now I'll read. So he wanted to do an exhibition in Kurukshetra, how Krishna and his friend came to Dwaraka and the gopis of Vrindavan. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam during solar eclipse. They came to bathe in the Brahmakund, sacred lake in Kurukshetra. Srila Prabhupada wanted to show the pastimes with diorama. So the exhibition was arranged. So you can go to Gauriamma temple, you'll see all dioramas. These all arranged by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada means Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He had hand-built invitation printed, 20,000 circulated in the area. In this connection, he told us, all of you know that only bogus, hollow people, men of shallow thinking like Vrindavan. Only bogus, hollow, shallow people like Vrindavan. So, Sridhar Maharaj says, I was very perplexed to hear this. I had been told that Vrindavan is the highest place of spiritual perfection. I had heard that one who has not mastered his senses cannot enter Vrindavan. Only liberated souls can enter Vrindavan and have opportunity of discussing about Krishna. So why we cannot stay in Vrindavan? We are not liberated. We are not. We are like I said, we are like an intruder inside Vrindavan. We are like a virus inside there. Everything and all we don't belong. We are out of, like the virus enters the body system like that. We are like the foreigner. After a while, we will find faults of it. Huh?
That's also it was.
Yeah. So he says only liberated souls can enter Vrindavan and have the opportunity of hearing about Krishna. Vrindavan is for liberated souls. Those not liberated from the demands of senses may live in Navadvip. Vikas Prabhu is living in Navadvip. So Navadvip gives an opportunity, for us to cultivate a way to go into. In fact, I think recently I posted one sloka, the Navadvip Shatakam by Prabodhananda Saraswati. He says, if you glorify the 9 islands of Navadvip, then you can enter into Vrindavan. If you glorify Gaura, then only you can go into Krishna, understand Krishna. You cannot go to Krishna without understanding Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Prabodhananda Saraswati. So now the instruction is given that if you are not liberated, you can live in Navadvip. Only liberated soul live in Vrindavan. Now Prabhupada was saying that shallow thinkers appreciate Vrindavan, but a man of real bhajan, real divine aspiration, will aspire to live in Kurukshetra. So hearing this, I felt as if I had fallen from the top of a tree. What is this? I thought, I am very acute listener, so I am very keen to catch the meaning of his words. The next thought he gave was that visiting many different places of pilgrimages, Bhaktivinoda Thakur remarks. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur also agrees. He's telling this point. I desire to spend the last days of my life in Kurukshetra. I shall construct a cottage near Brahmakund and pass the rest of my days there. Kurukshetra is the real place of bhajan. Why? Service is more valuable according to the intensity of its necessity. So he says, he gives an example. Shrewd merchants seek market at wartime because in the dangerous position, money is spent like water without consideration. So during war, remember when there was COVID, there was a scarcity of thermometers and masks, N95 mask, oxygen. Oxygen in a normal time may cost you, I don't know how much, few $100. In India, how many lakhs they were charging for the oxygen? The black market. Because it's an emergency time, people are willing to spend any amount of money to save their lives. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that Kurukshetra, what is happening is emergency. You know why it's emergency? Because right now Krishna has come there. The gopis of Vrindavan have come there. Correct? So let me continue. They can earn more money if war comes. So during the emergency time, people who were selling the masks, they were buying so many masks and keeping and selling. They earned a lot of money. In the same way, when Srimati Radharani's necessity reaches its zenith, service to her becomes extremely valuable. Okay? According to his necessity, service is valued. And in Kurukshetra, Srimati Radharani is in the utmost need because Krishna is so close, but in Vrindavan, Leela is impossible. In Vrindavan, Krishna is not there. She is experiencing ecstasy, Ashtashatrika Vikara, all this, in separation of Krishna. But here, Krishna is face to face, but I cannot interact with him because Krishna is coming like a king, like a prince. You understand? So her intensity, her emotions of separation is the highest peak in Kurukshetra. Because she's so intensely, you imagine now the lover of my life is in front of me, but I can't talk freely, openly. Krishna also understood that feeling. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chose to be in Jagannath Puri. Why? Because Jagannath Puri is like Dwaraka, Krishna is like a king. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radharani, he is taking darshan of Jagannath. I can see him from a distance. Why is standing so far away, Garuda Stamba? All these are in the CC actually. He's taking darshan. Oh, my Krishna is there. That same Krishna is here. My Vrindavan Krishna, but he's like a king. I cannot interact with him. You feel the pain of separation even more. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says Radharani's feeling of separation is so high in Kurukshetra that any amount of service you do to her now, it will give you the greatest result. Okay, so he says the circumstances do not allow Vrindavan Leela to take place. So now the circumstances Kurukshetra, Vrindavan, you cannot suddenly become Vrindavan Leela. That's why she's telling you are the same Krishna, right? But you are dressed like a king. Please come back to Vrindavan. That is Radha Yatra. I want to bring you back to Vrindavan. So at the time, Srimati Radharani needs the highest service from her group. So what is the goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas? The goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, there are people who are Vaishnavas, worshipper of Vishnu. There are people who are called Krashniya, worshippers of Krishna. But we are Gaudiyas. We are worshippers of Radharani. Our utmost goal is to serve Radharani. You see, so he says that the highest service. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in this situation, a drop of service will draw the greatest amount of prema. The highest level of Krishna prema will be received by serving Srimati Radharani in this time. That's why he wanted to choose to stay in Kurukshetra. In the pastimes of Radha Govinda, there are two aspects: Sambhoga, union, and Vipralamba, separation. And Radha and Krishna are very near to each other, but cannot meet intimately. At that time, service can draw the greatest gain for the servitors. Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I shall construct a heart in the bank of Brahma. Yeah. So you get the point. When we talk about Krishna Prem, then we cannot, the highest goal is Krishna Prem, then that is only possible by Radharani. Okay. So this is why Bharata Mahārāja went to the forest. This is why he could renounce everything, because this is the highest level of goal. This Krishna Prem, service to Srimati Radharani, which is the aim and the aim of all our Gaudiya Acharyas. Of course, we cannot go to Radharani directly. We have to go through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, 6 Goswamis, very important. And without Srila Prabhupada, how? So we have to take shelter, Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. And that's the mistake of Maharaj Bharat. He did not take shelter of the Guru's instructions in the forest. And eventually, he got deviated from that goal of the 5th highest goal of Krishna Prem. And he was, in fact, it is said that he was already in Bhava Bhakti. He was just one level before Prema. Yeah. But, he was deviated from that goal. And of course, he got another chance as a deer and then as Jara Bharat. And now, in this life, he is able to follow his instructions of this father, which is the 5 and 6, right? The Pritin Mayavat. So this is spoken by Bharata Mahārāja's father. Pritim na yavat mayi vasudeva nam uchate deha yogena tavat. So Rishabdev is saying that when living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living beings and supreme living beings, and his mind is subjugated by fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Vasudev, who is none other than myself, he is certainly not delivered from having accept the material body again. Pritim na yavat nai Vasudeva. So this is the highest goal of life, which is Krishna Prema, Priti for Vasudev. In fact, even say that Krishna even is not the goal. Krishna Prem is the goal. Because you may attend Krishna. Duryodhana also attend Krishna. He was just looking at him so nearby. Subala also was very near Krishna. But the goal is to love Krishna. Understand? And also there is another sloka which says, so this is the in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we can search verses here. Right? So in what situation we will how do I go BRS? BRS cannot search. Right? It's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1255 1.2.55.
This is 1.55. And you know this dialog box this has a F2. Go next.
Nothing comes.
For nothing.
No.
Pressing function F4 or just F4?
Just F4. See, it doesn't come up. 1.25.
I don't know if there's even Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu like that.
It's not one word.
The subject is in what condition moksha can be accepted? Huh? 1.2.55, right? Maybe you search online. I'll search online.
You
Although
search
the
the
type
word.
of liberation in described by the body of being fixed and still coming to that are not completely
So let's read the translation to this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse 1.2.55. Although the 5 types of liberation have been described as worthy of rejection, Salokya, Sarshi, Samipya, and Sarupya are not completely contradictory to Bhakti. So you can accept these 4 liberation if it's not it is not against the goal of Krishna Prema. And even you can see he says here that is described as worthy of rejection. You see? So the acharyas, the pure devotees, they are not interested in this these 5 goals. They rather live in this material world and have transaction with the Lord. Hmm?
1.2.255.
No, it's 55 only. 1.2.55. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So you can see here another sloka spoken by Sri Brahma. Prapancham nisprapanchopi vidham vasi bhutale prapannam janatananda sandodham pratitum prabhu. So he says here, my dear master, although you have nothing to do with material existence, you come to this earth and intimate material life just to expand the variety of aesthetic enjoyment for your surrendered devotees. So a pure devotee doesn't care, he goes to heaven, hell, whatever. He just wants to feel the expansion of the variety of aesthetic enjoyment. The bhakti rasa. this interaction, he wants to, transact with the Lord rather than transacting a business deal of going to moksha, going to heaven. Um, okay, so I think one final verse I will see. You can see here. So this is the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, one final conclusion. If you know this verse, Dharma Projita Kaita Bhatro, Karmo Nirmatsaranam Satam, Vedyam Vastavam, Atra Vastu Sivadam, Tapatrayana Mulaham, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamukti Kim Vavare Ishvara, Sadhyo Hirati Avarutyate, Tra Kritibhir, Shushruvirita Kshanat. So the Bhagavatam is the greatest scripture. Why? Because it does not deal with this dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It deals completely with prema. Even Bhagavad Gita cannot compare to the Bhagavatam. There are many verses in the Bhagavad Gita which is, like I said, very transactional kind of attitude. Krishna says, you do this, I'll do this. You do this. Bhagavatam is not like that. It completely rejects. That's why when Vyasadeva himself was not happy after writing all the Vedas, the Upanishads, he was not feeling happy. Because everything that he has written in the books was very conditional. That's why his guru told him, you describe unconditionally the Supreme Lord. So Dharma Project, all this cheating, Kaitava Dharma, all this cheating religion is kicked out of the Bhagavad. Understand? So it is compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadeva from the 4 original verses, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees, and completely rejects the cheating way of material motivated religiosity. This is rejected. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. He propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and about the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of the scripture in submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any other scripture than Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the highest goal of life, the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is what basically I'm bringing this point to show why he could easily give up, why he went to the forest. And if you go to the next sloka, the foremost process of cheating is to desire to achieve liberation by merging into the Supreme. For this cause the permanent disappearance of loving service to Krishna. So to get moksha is the greatest cheating also. It causes the permanent disappearance of love and devotional service to Krishna. There is no transaction of love in the Brahman. And then Prabhupada, in the next verse again, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Prasabdhena moksha visandhi api nirashta iti. The prefix pra in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam indicates that the desire for liberation is completely rejected. So there is a complete rejection of this kind of spiritual process. So why the kings, the Raja Rishis can give up easily? Because they have Krishna Prem, either they have Krishna Prem or they are going towards that goal of attaining Krishna Prem. Right? Parikshit Maharaj attained Krishna Prem after hearing what? Srimad Bhagavatam, right? When in the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam spoken in the Padma Puran, when Bhakti became an old lady, she became old, and her sons, Jnana and Vairagya, both of them were old, and Narada Muni came to help them. And Narada Muni, so she said that I became young again because I went to Vrindavan. Vrindavan immediately revives our Bhakti. But Jnana and Vairagya were still old. And Narada Muni was chanting all the Vedas, Upanishads, even Bhagavad Gita. He cannot revive them. So I was wondering why Bhagavad Gita cannot revive. And finally when Srimad Bhagavatam was recited to the Jnana and Vairagya, both of them get refreshed completely. You see? So even Bhagavad Gita cannot nourish that. I mean, of course, I'm not saying not to read Bhagavad Gita. Every one of us have to start from our journey through the Gita. But the ultimate goal of Gita is to bring us to the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It teaches us how to focus on that point of not having any desire but only desire to love Krishna. I mean, previously when I heard all these prayers, what is this Krishna prayer? Artificially we are praying Krishna, you give Krishna prayer. I don't know what the meaning is. Because even now also we don't know I don't know what the meaning. But a little more understanding is there. What is the fifth goal? Only because there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You understand how important Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. Because when Krishna came, he himself has filled with so many conditions. You must be free of lust, you must be free of anger, this, that, this. All these conditions, and people are not following. How many people were devotees of Krishna in the Dwapara Yuga and in the early Kali Yuga? How many people? The devotees of Krishna exploded after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Because here he is bestowing unconditional. Right? What is that verse? Chiram what? The first few verses. Anarpita charim chira karunaya. So he's giving something which he has never given before. He suddenly dropped all his condition. Okay, forget it. You only have one condition. You chant Hare Krishna. If you chant Hare Krishna, that's all. Right? So because he became so unconditional, then we have an opportunity now to. So we have to take shelter of that. The most beneficent avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Prabhupada. Then we can slowly understand what is actually our goal, what we are meant to do. I mean, many of us went to Vrindavan, we prayed in so many places. How many of us simply just prayed for Krishna prayed? No. So we can understand what was the position of Maharaj Bharat, what he was aiming for, how he got diverted. Because there is no, like Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, there is no loss in the diversion also. He was brought back and he taught us a very valuable lesson. And finally, as Jada Bharat, he attained that Krishna Prem. Yeah. So this is the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will stop here. Any comments, questions?
There was this incident where somebody asked why in Shashvata, the fourth verse is saying Mama Jamani Jamanishware, Seva Das Bhakti. And very next verse is saying, make me a part of the So one time it's asked, here, sometimes next verse is saying, why there's conflict? Because there's conflict. The once is doing service, it's already close to there.
Yes. This Prabhupada conversation. Yeah. Actually, this is very special in our Sampradaya only. As I have studied many of Sri Sampradaya works also. Many things are aimed towards moksha. I mean, not impersonal liberation, but liberation of Vaikuntha. You know?
There in people, it is happy. Only bhakti we cannot go to the, we can go to the only Adam. Only God is
Well, Nidhi Bhakti Prasada Deke Vaikuntha Yaya Jaya. By executing regulative devotional service, one becomes an associate of Narayana and attains Vaikuntha Lokas, the spiritual dance and spiritual sky.
85. There are Adam the
Krishna.
85.
Yeah. Raga Bhakti Vraje Swayam Bhagavane Paya. By executing spontaneous devotional service in Vrindavan, one attains original supreme personal body. So it's very, I mean, this is just a small introduction. If you want to really analyze what is bhakti scientifically, then Bhakti Rasa Mukta is the scripture show that.
You see the entire devotion, very technical. He's saying that all will not think to attend the power different from the Raga. They have different forces.
Yeah.
Because Prabhupada said that if you make sure
Because we are still doing Vaidhi. Mostly our motivation of doing bhakti is because of an instruction of Shastra. Because we cannot artificial also. Like now we are waking up in the morning, chanting our rounds. Why? Because we scared that we'll get sick. We'll accumulate path. We will disobey the spiritual master. So all these very rules infused. But when it comes to Raganuga, they have natural attraction. The natural attraction for Krishna automatically flows without all these rules and regulations. That is Raganuga.
Actually, they're very interested in Raganuga.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't artificially jump to that platform. We have to go step by step with this Vaidhi process. And, it will come. We have to learn how to, if we understand our position, actually, we are very far. So, anything else?
Previous was Mokshikevam Garuda.
The Garuda.
Mokshikevam Garuda. The previous was today, 5:40. Says the system given by Jadakar is actually like Garuda's path. And we are like a house like. So nobody even in the history, no one has ever come to be able to follow even mentally path described by Jadakar. The verse is actually 5:40. False statement.
Yes. That's good. Now, merciful. Yes. Namo Mahārāja. Karna hota hai. And to understand, that's why we need 6 Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahavishtam Saptam. Without the writings of the Goswamis, we cannot understand the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what he intended. Okay, then. We'll stop here. Jai Granthana Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Jai Shri Prabhupada.